rev up your engines. Today, I'm going to talk about some cars that can actually go up in value and why they might. Now first, I'll give you a little disclaimer. Most mass-produced cars, hey, they're one of the worst investments you can possibly make. They just flat out lose value as time goes on. And even take cars that aren't that mass-produced, like a Ferrari. People think, oh, it's a Ferrari, it's expensive, oh, it's worth a lot of money. Most of them, the values drop like a stone. You can pick up used Ferraris dirt cheap compared to their original sticker price. When people talk about a Ferrari that's older and worth a lot of money, it's because they didn't make that many of them. It was some kind of special model, just like Mercedes-Benz. Hey, you get one of those old gull-wing Mercedes, there's only a few of them left on the planet, so of course they're worth a lot of money. But as for mass-produced cars, heck, most of them will never be worth hardly anything, even compared to their original price. But today I'm going to talk about some cars that can actually appreciate in value. The first one is the Honda S2000. It was made from 1999 to 2009, an open-top sports car. Honda always was a good engineering company, especially with motors, and where they place the motor on that, it's got a 50-50 weight distribution front to back. So it's a true sports car. It handles really well. And for a little 2-liter engine, it had a lot of power. The earlier ones tended to have a little oversteer. They redesigned the suspension system. They kept perfecting them. And when they finally stopped making them in 2009, they sold about 110,000 of these things. Now in the stock version, that little bitty 2-liter engine put out 237 horsepower. It's naturally aspirated, doesn't have supercharging, doesn't have a turbocharger. Of course, guys put that kind of stuff in them. But the stock one was a quick, reliable, since it's a Honda, the stress is on reliability, sports car that not only was fun to drive and fast, but the thing didn't fall apart like other sports cars tended to. And now since they stopped producing, the value is starting to go up. 5 years ago, the fancy AP1 S2000 is pretty much valued at about $30,000. But today it's valued at $39,000. Of course, as time comes on, some rust out, some get wrecked, there's less of them on the market, they become more popular, the price starts to go up. So if you're looking for a car that can go up in value but still a very dependable car, hey, you might look at an S2000 Honda Roadster. Now, the next car that might go up in value, they certainly have lately, is the Acura Nsx. Of course, that's a higher end car. It's not like the S2000 that didn't cost that much in the first place. But as I said previously, most high-end cars, they depreciate like mad. Well, the NSX is kind of a different animal. The NSX was the first mass-produced aluminum body vehicle. It is a supercar. It started out at $60,000, which today you might think isn't that much, but $60,000 back in 1990 was a lot more than it is today. People dubbed the NSX as an everyday supercar, a supercar that you could drive every day. Hey, I mean, the newer ones, man, they have technology up the wazoo in them. You can still drive them every day. They're not like, you try that with a Ferrari, going through potholes and stuff on the road. I got customers with them, and man, they spend more time in a shop than they do going down the road. And to prove that, over the last 5 years, the first generation NSX, the prices have more than doubled. 5 years ago, you could have got one for 40 grand. Now they're going for over $100,000. Now the newer version that they just came out with, they're not selling all that well because now, hey, their prices are getting pretty astronomical for a new one. The price starts at $157,000 for a new NSX. Heck, I just read the other month that they only sold like 7 of them. In all of 2018, they only sold 170 of them. These are pretty rare cars now. And at that price tag, hey, you might think about getting an older one instead. They're appreciating in value, and I quite imagine with the rarity of the newer ones, but that really high sticker price, they'll probably be just another one of these supercars that I'm sure they'll hold their value better than a Ferrari and stuff, but in those astronomical price ranges, and if they only sell a handful of them, I mean, you're paying a bunch of money, and if somebody really wants to get one and they have bad sales, they're already starting to discount the newer ones. So I don't think they're gonna hold their values like the old ones did. Maybe 30, 40 years down the line, who can predict that? But I'm talking about the near future. You'd probably be better off buying an older one that was taken care of. Now, the next car that can go out in value I'm gonna talk about is a 2013 Shelby Gt500. And notice I said 2013, an historical Gt500. That was the last one that was built with the help of Carroll Shelby, who they named it after. Shelby died a few weeks before they released it, so he'll never have anything to do with any of the new Shelby Gt500s. So I'm thinking historically, that's going to mean something, and the value can go up. Because it's a classic. It's a V8 with a 6-speed standard transmission that Americans love. It put out like 667 horsepower. It could actually go 200 miles an hour. Now, a lot of people argued that plus or minus. I've seen one go 200 miles an hour, so I know they could go 200 miles an hour, at least the stock one that I had for a week. I like the one that I road tested for a week because it didn't even have a front grille, it just had a hole. Because they figured they needed that much air to flow in to cool the engine and to suck air into the engine so it could get enough air, burn it fast enough to go 200 miles an hour. It takes something to go 200 miles an hour. And really, for a $61,000 car to go 200 miles an hour, most of the 200 mile an hour cars were 200,000 up at the time. So, even though that's still a lot of money, for a car that could go that fast, it was pretty much a bargain. Now, it's one model. 2013. I believe really that they're starting to appreciate more. I just saw one that sold for $63,700, which is pretty much the original price of the car. You try finding a 7-year-old car that you can sell it for the same price that you bought it for, and it's going to be a rarity. But I believe over time, the 2013 Shelby Gt500 will keep appreciating in value because, hey, it's the last one Carroll Shelby had anything to do with, and they're really fast cars. A lot of them are destroyed, wrapped around telephone poles, whatever, rolled over by the process of attrition. As time goes on, there's going to be less and less of them still rolling down the road. After all, they only made 4,885 of these things. There weren't that many to begin with. I'm sure they're going to appreciate in value as there's less and less of them left. And when it comes to the value of cars and most other commodities, it's more the rarity that makes them worth something. Yeah, they got to have a reason why, but it all comes down to numbers eventually. So realize the sad fact that if you own a car and they made 500,000 of them, it's probably never going to be worth much money. It'll depreciate, and if it's a good car like the Celica, hey, keep driving the thing around, have fun with it. Just don't think that it's going to be worth a king's ransom one day. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.